Being part of a union to me means knowing that I'm working with the best, the guys that are trained, the guys that know their jobs, that are safety orientated, people that I know that are going to stand up for me, as well as knowing that I'll have their backs as well.
They decided that it was time to open up the main manway so they could suck the rest of the water out of there. Two of the co-workers were up on top of the scaffold. One of the co-workers went to get another wrench. When the two co-workers opened up the manway, it was cold air came in and it made like a volcanic reaction. These two co-workers had no place to go because they were up on the scaffold. All of this hot, boiling water came down upon their bodies. Nobody knew that the cold air would react like that to that hot water.
When it comes to safety, we have a safety program at Edmonton Exchanger that gives the framework to develop and to hold employees accountable. It's something that when we talk to any employee from top to bottom, that we get a sense that safety is important, a sincerity towards it, not just in words, but in actions, which oftentimes can be explanations of what is going on, what can be improved on, and a real passion and caring for improving on safety at all times.
It is pretty impressive how you have all these things going on at once, and the size of all this equipment being moved around, how it can get done so smoothly just with guys being on top of everything and working well with each other. The person I want to work with is the person with the great attitude, the person who wants to be there, not the person who doesn't want to be there. That's the safest person for me to work with.
It all goes back to education, coaching, mentoring. You know, there are different tools that are put in place. You know, safety meetings, toolbox talks, you know, FLRAs, JHAs, JSAs. I mean, there's all kinds of acronyms for it. It's all the same thing, safety.
Edmonton Exchanger is a big company, and it's come a long way since I started. A clothes shop is how I've worked my whole career. I find that we have a more stable workforce and a larger number of people to draw from. We try to do a job once and safe.
Edmonton Exchanger. In this orientation, we will introduce you to Edmonton Exchanger's rules, regulations, and policies. These are outlined in the Safety and Operation Handbook, provided for your reference. More detailed information can be found in the Edmonton Exchanger Field Safety Manual. Please take the time to review the Safety and Operation Handbook thoroughly to ensure you have all the information necessary to maintain a safe work environment for you and your coworkers. At the conclusion of this orientation, you will be asked to review and sign the Employee Sign-Off Acknowledgement Form located at the back of the handbook. During your employment with Edmonton Exchanger, all rules, regulations, policies, and client requirements must be followed at all times. Working safely is a condition of your employment. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask your supervisor or field safety advisor. We will do our part to keep you safe, But your cooperation and commitment to working safely is the real key to safety success for Edmonton Exchanger, for you, and for your family.
Safety do it for life to me is just something that you have to incorporate into your everyday life all the time. Whether you're driving home, whether you're mowing the lawn, building a fence, anything, safety always has to be in the back of your mind first.
If the people got the right attitude towards safety, every task has got some kind of a hazard. Every hazard needs to be eliminated so that a person doesn't get hurt. We put the tools in place for you so you don't get hurt.
Occupational health and safety responsibilities. Safety is each and everyone's responsibility. The occupational health and safety legislation requires you to work safely, ensure your safety and the safety of others, cooperate with your employer, and refuse and stop unsafe work. It is both your right and obligation.
If you don't feel comfortable, then I want you to stop. Stop and then go to your supervisor, go to your buddy, the buddy that's working right with you. Like, say, look, what are we doing here? If you can't figure it out, go to somebody that can figure it out. There's always somebody. If we can't do it safe, then we're not doing it.
If you create a hazard, you have to make other people aware of that hazard. Most people are very serious about safety because they realize that you can be a long time hurt. It only takes a second to get in trouble and you can suffer for years after. We all need to be retrained from time to time, including me. And I hear from some of our people, like, we've done this already 3 times this year. Why do we do it again? And I'll say, because there's new things involved now. You need to stay current with the change.
People on the job that are going to keep themselves safe, and it's everybody's responsibility. If you walk by anybody that's doing a job that's unsafe, something's going to happen and somebody's going to get hurt. When you walk by somebody and they're engrossed in a task and you can see something that might happen, if you don't stop it, then you failed, right?
Even at the end, after you finish bolting up your flange and everything else like that, you got to make sure that that's all cleaned up too. So you don't leave loose bolts and everything, so somebody walking around doesn't twist their ankle or fall and hurt their arm or whatever. But safety is part of the job. A good tradesman will take the time to think out and look ahead to see what I have to do to make this job work safely.
Each and every coworker is responsible for their own well-being as well as their coworkers. Work safely as well as watch the back of your fellow coworker.
Fitness for work. It is important that you arrive at the gate each day well-rested, alert, and ready to work safely. After-work activities can play a major role in your next day's work performance. Distractions, fatigue, illness, and the inappropriate use of drugs, medications, and alcohol pose unnecessary risks to you and your coworkers. Remember, stay alert, stay focused, stay safe.
You're not the same when you've been drinking, and not only do you put yourself at risk, you put your coworkers at risk and many other people. You have to have a clear mind when you're at work, and you have to be in physical good condition as well. You have to be able to stay focused. You're working up at heights, you're working all over the place, and stay focused on the task at hand. And if you're impaired by alcohol or drugs, you're not going to be staying focused.
There's too many things going on in our job with crane usage, and whether we're with come-alongs, tensioning equipment. There's so many pinch points and this and that. As soon as you leave the trailer and step out onto site, you've got to have full awareness. You have to be able to know what's going on. You have to be sharp. You can't have any distractions. You can't be impaired by any means, or else you're not only putting yourself in danger, but everyone around you.
All incidents and near misses must be reported immediately. We investigate all incidents or near misses. That way, we can make changes to correct the situation and prevent similar incidents or injuries from happening again.
If I were ever injured, I would want to go on modified work. Reason being just to be with my fellow coworkers and have that camaraderie with them. Need that positive mentality to know that you're still involved and still making a difference.
The third coworker, he came back, and in shock, he found these guys standing on the side of the road. They had pulled off their coveralls, they had pulled off their clothes because it was burnt that bad. I went down to the hospital. I lifted up the blankets on the coworkers' legs there. The skin was just all hanging in places.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice thing, that's for sure. I went and visited the same people, and another thing is like the job that they were doing that had been done 1,000 times. Like they say, 99 times nothing's gonna happen, but there's that one time.
The one that was burnt so bad, he stayed in the hospital for more than 2 months, getting skin grafts done on his legs and everything. And until this day, the guy, his legs are still not right.
Respect in the workplace. No one wants to work in an environment they do not feel comfortable in. Edmonton Exchanger is committed to protecting the health and safety of all employees by providing a respectful workplace, free from violence, harassment, and bullying. Report any incidents of workplace violence.
When you have respect for your coworkers and yourself, everybody works better as a team. I show respect by making sure that if someone does do a good job, they know about it. If they're making a mistake, I let them know about it as well. It's a matter of making sure that you're not looking out for your own well-being, but you're looking out for everybody else's. And whether it's good or bad, you let them know, and they appreciate that. You need not only demand respect, but you have to give respect to whether it's an apprentice just starting or whether it's someone who's got 35, 40 years experience. That respect, it's contagious.
I encourage people to get along and work together as a big team workforce, and to be respectful of the client, be respectful of the contractors that you work side by side. It's just by doing a good job, having a good safety record, and getting along with the people.
Head and facial hair. Everything has its place and purpose on our job sites. Excess head and facial hair does not belong, as it can interfere with and prevent an effective seal for respiratory equipment. So we ask you to report for work clean-shaven. Beards, goatees, long or extended sideburns, and Fu Manchus are not permitted. If you have a mustache, it must be trimmed to the corner of the mouth. Long hair and jewelry can also pose risk of injury if caught or snagged. Leave your jewelry at home and tie back and contain long hair. It's for your safety. Personal protective equipment. PPE creates a barrier between you and workplace hazards. At all times while on the job site, you must wear a hard hat, safety glasses, gloves, fire retardant coveralls, CSA-approved work boots, and hearing protection. It is important that PPE is maintained, cared for, and worn correctly for maximum effectiveness and protection. Where hazards present additional risk, additional PPE may be required. Just remember, PPE is the last means of protection. Engineering and administrative controls are preferred.
Take the proper measures, get yourself the right PPE. There are gloves out there that help soften the impact in your palms and that to help reduce that tension and stress that you do put on your body. Take the time, if you need to step away and go get the proper equipment, take the time to do that. I'd much rather have someone go get the right protective equipment to do the job properly rather than have them get hurt on the job.
When removing PPE, keep in mind that debris may have built up during the workday and can create risk of injury, the most common result being debris in the eyes. Take care when removing personal protective equipment such as safety glasses, goggles, respirators, face shields, and hard hats. Hazard assessment. Hazards are situations, conditions, devices, or substances that are or may be directly dangerous to your health and safety, or the well-being of equipment, property, and the environment. Edmonton Exchanger's Field Level Risk Assessment, or FLRA, is a formal process used to ensure readiness for work and to identify and control all existing and potential hazards. Before starting any job, you are required to complete and participate in a field-level risk assessment with your crew. If you join a job already in progress, you are required to review and complete the existing FLRA before starting work.
Well, the field level risk assessments, or FLRAs, to me, it's a tool. It's a planning tool, actually. I think safety is a plan. And when you start to plan a job originally, before it even hits the floor, before the worker even gets it, it's got to go through so many people, and they all have to put their input into it. All that safety should be planned in at that time.
Together with your crew, you will identify all existing and potential hazards relating to the job itself and the work area. This will allow you to take the steps necessary to eliminate or control the hazards identified. Stop and think, what could happen?
Doing the FLRA, the Field Level Risk Assessment, they'd start off mainly from the ground up. You flag and tag the area properly, make sure you give yourself a good area so that no one does come into that working zone that you're going to be in. Pinch points is a very major issue with the bundle pulling, and communication again. Communication is always key, making sure you're in the right sight lines with the crane operators, and you turn your equipment off when you need to communicate with the people on the other side to make sure that everybody's on the same page. The reason why we do field level risk assessments is in order to get everybody on the same page. Having 4 or 5 different sets of eyes to pinpoint the different distractions or obstacles you may encounter through the job, it's a great way to be able to isolate the danger zones, have everybody on the same page so that when you do go out to do the job and perform your tasks, everybody knows their role. It's a great way to just get everybody working together and on the same page before going out and doing their job.
The hazard assessment process does not end there. You need to evaluate changing conditions as they happen and take the necessary actions. Get involved and intervene when you see something that is not safe or could lead to injury if not stopped. Safe lifting. There are going to be many times you are faced with lifting an object. More often, we think it's a simpler task than it really is. Take a good look at what you're going to lift. If it's too heavy, get help or use a mechanical device to do the lifting for you.
You want to be sure that you bend at the knees, lift straight, your back is straight, and that you know potentially what that object weighs.
Most back injuries occur from improper lifting techniques. So if you have determined it is safe to manually lift an object, do it right. Here's how. Take a wide stance. Place the load between your knees if possible. Bend your knees. Always keep your lower back straight. Keep your head up. Lift by straightening your legs. Your leg muscles, not your back, should do the work. Don't lift and twist. Keep your shoulders in line with your feet. Heavy lifting is a hazard that must be controlled, just as any other hazard. Musculoskeletal injuries, MSIs, are injuries involving the muscles, tendons, ligaments, joints, nerves, blood vessels, or related soft tissues, and are caused or aggravated by work, overexertion, and overuse. MSIs most frequently affect the fingers, wrists, arms, shoulders, and back. Common diagnoses include strains, tendinitis, and carpal tunnel syndrome. There are many job factors that may contribute to MSI, such as force, repetition, work posture, contact stress, weight distribution, and reaching. Those affected by MSIs may notice pain, numbness, tingling, or weakness while on the job. Other signs could include swelling, redness, and/or difficulty moving a particular body part. Signs and symptoms of MSI may appear suddenly from a single incident, or they may appear gradually over time. If you are experiencing signs or symptoms of an MSI, inform your supervisor or field safety advisor immediately and report to first aid. It is important the hazards or factors that can contribute to MSIs are considered during the hazard assessment process to determine appropriate controls to mitigate the risk of injury. Chemical hazards. Chemicals are everywhere on our job sites and present all sorts of hazards. Benzene, asbestos, hydrocarbons, acids, hydrogen sulfide are just a few chemicals we encounter. It is important to conduct proper hazard assessments and follow procedures put in place to protect you. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System is designed to communicate information about hazardous material, otherwise known as controlled products, found in the workplace. A controlled product is any product that meets the criteria for one or more of 6 hazard classes. All controlled products are identified by supplier or workplace labels. Information on a supplier label includes the name of the product, what the hazards are, how to protect yourself from the hazards, hazard symbols, first aid measures, the name and address of the supplier, and reference to the MSDS for more information. If you are transferring, mixing, or decanting a controlled product from its original container into another container, you must identify the new container with a workplace label stating the name of the product, information on how to use the product safely, and reference to the MSDS for further information. Workplace labels can be found in the Edmonton Exchanger tool crib. If a supplier label on a controlled product is missing or unreadable, a workplace label must be applied. You can find material safety data sheets for each controlled product on site. These provide detailed information on the product and how to protect yourself. On-site MSDS locations are reviewed during site orientation. Check with your foreman or safety advisor should you wish to review an MSDS. Hydrogen sulfide, H2S. Hydrogen sulfide, otherwise known as H2S or sour gas, is one of the most vicious and deadly occupational hazards in our industry. It is a clear, colorless, and poisonous flammable gas. In very small concentrations, H2S smells like rotten eggs. In larger concentrations, it will destroy your sense of smell. It is heavier than air and will find its way to low spots, such as sewers and depressions. Combined with water, H2S forms sour water. High concentrations of H2S can catch fire and explode if there is an ignition source. You can determine the presence of H2S at 1 part per million by its very offensive odor, commonly referred to as the smell of rotten eggs. Unfortunately, it may be the last thing you ever smell. If the concentration of gas exceeds 100 parts per million, the sense of smell is quickly deadened, giving a false sense of security that the danger has passed. To determine the presence of H2S and inform employees of the measurements made of airborne concentrations, unit monitors and personal H2S monitors are used to detect and warn employees of its presence. Should you encounter H2S, evacuate immediately, call for help, and sound the alarm. In the event of a man down, state man down. Get to a safe area immediately, reporting to the site-designated muster points or emergency assembly areas. move upwind or crosswind and to higher ground if possible. Never attempt to rescue a man down without self-contained breathing apparatus, or you will be the next victim. If you were exposed to H2S, you must report to your supervisor immediately and report to first aid.
We're all pretty good, close friends with each other, and it's like one big family. And I tell you, when somebody gets hurt like that, it's just devastating.
It doesn't get any easier when you think about it. Like it's something that never should happen. I mean, you know, you want your people to go home. Anybody you work with, co-workers, whatever, anybody should go home the same way they came from work. And didn't happen that night, that's obvious. And
So now, they got skin TIs on the outside of the vessel that tells you what the temperature of the vessel is. There is other drains on there to prevent that. Like it's a terrible accident that happened, but it should never ever happen again because things have been put in place to stop it from happening again.
Never be scared to ask questions. And I strongly believe there's no such thing as a stupid question. And there's so much knowledge out there with the guys that are in our industry that you can learn just by standing back and kind of watching. And you get your hands in there, and if they see that you're willing to learn and you ask questions and you're asking the right questions, never be intimidated by anything, because everything is set up now that it can be done so safely. You just need to have the right information, and the right information is out there. So don't be scared to ask.
All the information reviewed during this orientation and in your Safety and Orientation Handbook will help set you up for success. We are committed to sending you home to your family and friends, safe and healthy each day. Just remember, safety is a part of our product. When you choose to work safely, you're selling yourself, Edmonton Exchanger, and your union. Welcome to Edmonton Exchanger. We choose safety for life.
there's no end to safety. There's no stopping. All you do is get better.